Did you know you don't experience climate, you experience weather? Weather is the temperate conditions of the atmosphere, things we might describe as cloudy, sunny, cold, hot, or rainy, etc. Climate is a historical record of average daily and seasonal weather events. Wait, did you see that? That word again, average. Remember from earlier videos that temperature is an average. For example, combining 20 years of daily temperatures creates climate data. So climate is an average of averages. But we can go further. When you hear someone say the Earth has already warmed by 1.2 degrees Celsius or 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the average global surface temperature, which relies on the average land temperature and the average sea temperature, which come from climate data, which is 20 to 30 years of daily average temperatures. And if you remember, temperature is an average itself. That's a lot of averages. And at each step, the averages continue to conceal extremes. We don't care about when the weather is average, that's fine, but we do care about when it's extreme. A short example of why the existing 1.5 Celsius, 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit communication is problematic. This is a graphic on temperature anomalies, which was released by NASA in early 2025. Global temperature anomalies are a bit brain-breaking, so I'll save a deep explanation for another video, but in their most basic form, they are a difference from a reference point. In this case, NASA has used 30 years of data from 1951 to 1980 to establish that baseline. This data is represented by the fairly normal-looking distribution, or gray line in the middle of the graph. We start in 1964, where the graph has about the same amount of blue and orange, so about an equal chance to have a warmer or cooler temperature variation in comparison to the reference time period. This graph has a narrow arch. With a shape like this, high and narrow, most of the time, the expected temperature has a high chance to fall within a small range. As we move forward in time, this blue fades and the graph widens, showing an increased variance of temperature. However, instead of varying from hot to cold, you can see the expected range change from hot to hotter, with chances for cooler than average days becoming less likely each year. Finally, there's a subtle yet deadly detail on the right side of the graph. Notice that the tail gets thicker, meaning extreme heat waves and weather events are more likely to occur. Hopefully now, you can see how averages conceal the intensity and frequency of extremes. Don't get me wrong, averages are very useful tools in science and scientists understand their implications. However, I believe they fall short when trying to explain complex topics and their consequences to the average person. This is just one problem with averages. So what if I told you that land temperatures are increasing at almost twice the rate of average sea temperatures? From climate scientist Zach Glabe, we can see how the oceans have warmed by about 0.9 degrees Celsius, but land temperatures have increased by about 2 degrees Celsius. This is an average of 1.2 degrees Celsius. But I think you can spot the problem, which is we live on land. And the ocean temperatures being included makes the problem appear smaller than it is. 2 degrees Celsius is 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is an average itself. Your area might be warmer than this already. This shift means that regions which used to barely stay frozen around 30 degrees Fahrenheit or -1 degree Celsius in winter won't anymore. Over 10 years ago, in 2013, a study by Grinstead et al. Found out that the most extreme events are especially sensitive to temperature changes, and they estimate a doubling of Katrina magnitude events associated with the warming over the 20th century. In the United States, we've seen 7 of the top 10 costliest Atlantic hurricanes occurring in the last 7 years. And this doesn't even include Hurricane Katrina because that was in 2005. This is part 1 of the video. Check out part 2 to really see why averages are hurting our understanding of the impacts on our changing climate. Hopefully, you thought this video was above average. Thank you for giving us a bit of your day. If you like this kind of science and climate clarification, consider our written and audio articles on acidearth.world. Sources are listed in the description. Let us know if you have any questions or suggestions for future topics.